everybody. This is Lady Dominique with I Am Woman. Happy Saturday. I pray that your week has been productive. Mine has been very, very, very productive. Um, and we're in the process of moving our location for our church and relocating to get everything ready. For our first service in our new building in September. Things are moving along well. I just want to encourage everyone, if you can, to continue to sow your seeds into Hill City Church. Probably seen our pastor on here during 21 days of prayer, asking, almost begging for people to help. So I understand that finances are hard for all of us. So every little bit counts. I don't care if you get $2, $3, $4, whatever you do that can help contribute to help us get things right for the new building. It is greatly appreciated. And for those who have already given, thank you so much. We definitely don't want it to be where you're taken away from your own family. So whatever sacrifices you've made, it is greatly appreciated. And we are grateful. I am very excited about our conversation on today because many of us can relate to it. It's a universal situation. It's not just a black and white thing, it's everybody. So hopefully you have tapped into our Bible devotional, which we just completed yesterday. And it was talking about refining through our pain, and the way that that it was written really gave me a different outlook and perspective about pain, and it made me feel like, this makes sense, like an aha moment. And it didn't make me feel bad about the things that I've endured, or the painful things, but it reassured me why I needed to go through that. So hopefully you were able to tap into our Bible devotional. If not, you can email and I'll send you the link so that you can read it on your own, because once it's completed with the group, I cannot add you to it. So if you join afterwards, you read it on your own. But it's, I think, a good solid 5 days of word and inspiration that's going to help you through some of the toughest times that you have already faced, or you may face in the future. So that's very important. I want to get into our conversation. I do not want to hold everybody long. I know we got to go meet up at the church today to get the final things out of our old location. So I don't want to be before you long. Let me get my notes together, because we know that in pain we have different types of pain: physical pain, emotional pain, um, um, just all kind of pain. But pain is just, through a biblical point, is really something that refines us. It helps us get through and strengthens us. It's I remember running track, and I did a PR. PR means we're in Olympics season, but I did a PR, which is a personal record. I ran the 400, the 4x4 relay, and I was the first leg, and I like to die after that. And I PR'd because in the first, earlier in that day, I was the last person. I was like, okay, am I not supposed to come in last? It was like, no, you have to run. I was like, okay. So we did our 4x4. I was leg number one. I did not want to do that, but I was the first leg, and I got us a lead. We didn't win, but we were in the lead. Like, we were up front. However, I PR'd, and I've never felt so much pain in my body after that. I wanted to lay out and go to sleep. I didn't want to cheer nobody on. I just wanted to be done. And um, my Coach Ramos, may he rest in peace, said, "Pain is weakness leaving the body." And I don't know if that's a Gatorade quote or his quote, but that's what he said. He said, "Pain is weakness leaving the body." So I think if we look at pain that way, it'll help us endure some of the things a lot better, if that makes sense. Like, how do I endure such things? It'll help us navigate where we don't run away from God, we'll run to God in certain circumstances. So, with this conversation today, I want to talk about pain and how, in many instances, we make decisions out of our pain, and we do a lot of things out of pain, and we don't realize that until we really sit down and reflect and say, okay, I'm doing this out of pain. I'm not doing this out of being, present. I'm doing this because I don't know what's going on. I just want to not feel what I'm feeling. So what I realize is that, like I said, with the quote of pain is weakness leaving the body, is when you deal with pain, right? Um, as we read in our Bible devotional, it refines. It doesn't define. It refines us. And if we know what refine is, when you, a good example is the three Hebrew boys going through the fiery furnace, right? And if we look at it in a logical way, we would say, okay, they're going to be burnt up, period. That's it. But there are certain circumstances where that fire, right, that's to refine you, make you pure as, pure gold and silver and things like that. It really strengthens you. It didn't overtake you. It didn't consume you. And that's what we've seen when they went through the fiery furnace. It did not consume them. So when we're dealing with certain things like pain, or to pinpoint it, like grief, it should not consume us. The pain that we feel is natural, but the outcome of it should not overtake us where we're no longer functioning adults or human beings. We're now having to be catered to because we can't manage to pull ourselves up out of that. Now, I'm not saying there's not times where you just have to sit and rest. I'm saying there are times where you got to press forward through the pain. Many times, us as believers, when we go through something, we have to go through pain, we run away from God. That's what the Bible devotional said. We run away from God, and we wonder why we cannot get through this pain, because we're running to everything but the source. So when we run to God versus alcohol, sex, partying, the streets, whatever we find ourselves in, overeating, depression, if we turn to God, right, we'll have a better outcome through our situations. Now, is it going to change our circumstances? No, but it's going to help us through those circumstances. I think oftentimes we limit what God can do for us based on our own limitations. We put those same limitations on God, like, God ain't gonna get me through this. God ain't gonna do that. God ain't gonna do this. What I think about is when my mom died, I was like, oh, Jesus, I don't know if I'm gonna ever make it. But even through my pain, I had to press through because, one, I was pregnant, and I was 7 months pregnant, and I had to press through to make sure I had a healthy baby, and I survived the pregnancy. So there are certain circumstances where you have no other choice but to press through. And I think that's what God wants us to do in pain. But also, the good what I realized is that the pain is part of maturity. It matures you. It makes you not just strong, but it strengthens your faith in Christ, and it grows you up. Many of us have to go through things to grow us up. We have to be faced with certain challenges or pain to grow us up. It could probably be something easier. Our lives could be way easier. But I really realized, like I said, when my mom died, that it was God maturing me, because I was really still relying on my mother. Like, this is my girl. She's going to be here. She's going to help me. And God was like, here you go. That's my girl. She my girl now. What you going to do? And my only thing was I was very sad, but was to, like I said, press through. There's nothing else. And to turn to God. I couldn't turn to the streets because I'm pregnant. Can't do that. Can't wild out. Can't do all these other things that, most people do in their pain because they're making decisions. And when you're in pain, your thinking is clouded. It's clouded. You're out of your mind. You're not really tapped in. You're just doing stuff. But we really have to figure out how to manage the pain, how to allow it to refine us and not define us. Don't allow our pain to define us. Because many of us have allowed that situation, that painful situation, to define us. When that situation was placed in our lives to shape us, to mold us, to mature us, to grow us, to perfect us, to complete us, and also to bring us closer to God. If that painful situation has not brought you closer to God, that means you have not given it over to God. You're still trying to figure it out on your own. Once I gave my grief and my frustrations to God about my mother, I felt a sense of relief. I didn't feel like I wasn't going to make it. I felt like I got to do this. There's no other way. There's no other way to do it but to live through this. And of course, like I said, I had kids. I had 2 other kids, Destin and Denver, while I was pregnant with Bear. And they were dependent on me as well. So I had no other choice, like I said, to press through. And it allowed me to talk to God more, to not be so dependent on other people when it comes to my relationship with God. It really just kind of allowed me to tap into where I was lacking and my strengths. What I do know about pain is it can lead you down a road of destruction and depression. And somebody defined depression as like, it's like your emotions turn against you. Something like that. Something very clever. I was like, oh, that's really good. But it's really like your emotions are now, which is supposed to be for outward things, is now inward. So you're dealing with everything internally, but they're now upset at the person is in. So it's really have to make sure that we don't get into a state of depression when we're going through certain things. We have to, I always advocate for professional counseling, and they have Christian counselors as well. So if you don't feel comfortable just talking to a regular therapist, they have tons of Christian therapists that can help you through life's tough times. I went to therapy when my mom passed. I had to. It was like, okay, but I was already talking to God, but I needed something to help me in my natural state. My spiritual, I could manage that, but the natural state of pain is something different. So we have to go and find resources for ourselves, and tell our needs and our wants, so we can be able to make it through that season. And what I realize is a lot of people, especially Christians, we over spiritualize our pain, and we don't really deal with our pain. And I think that has caused a lot of us to suffer in silence and to pretend that we're strong, to pretend that we're happy when we're struggling. And we act out. We have bad attitudes. We judge each other because we're in pain. We can't see how this person is living their best life after going through such turmoil, and we're still stuck in whatever that is. We haven't managed to get out. Instead of judging them, we should ask them, what did you do? communication about what we're going through. The good thing about this upcoming generation is a lot of questions. It's a lot of whys, and not just falling in sync with what we should be doing. It's like, now, why do I have to have pain? Why am I suffering? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And ask those questions is very important. And the question I asked is, why is pain glorified in the Bible? Because when you think about it, when we read the Bible devotion, I was like, they making it seem like this is amazing. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to go through that. It says pain and suffering are often highlighted in the Bible, not because they are inherently good or desirable, but because they are seen as tools through which deeper spiritual truths and growth can be realized. Um, One, spiritual growth and refinement. The Bible often portrays suffering as a means of spiritual refinement. Just as gold is refined by fire, believers are seen as being purified and strengthened through the trials and pain. This perseverance, character, um, this process is seen as essential for developing perseverance, character, and a deeper faith. Number two, it says identification with Christ. Suffering is also seen as a way for believers to identify with Christ, who suffered greatly for the sake of humanity. By sharing in his suffering, Christians believe they are participating in the life of Christ and are being conformed to his image. I talked about this dependence on God. Pain and suffering often lead individuals to recognize their limitations and their need for God. In times of distress, people are more likely to turn to God for comfort, strength, and guidance, fostering a deeper relationship with Him. Testimony and witness. Enduring suffering with faith can serve as a powerful testimony to others. It can demonstrate the strength and the reality of one's faith, potentially leading others to God. Eternal perspective. The Bible encourages believers to maintain an eternal perspective, viewing present sufferings as a temporary and insignificant compared to the eternal glory that awaits them. This perspective helps believers endure hardships with hope and purpose. God's sovereignty and purpose. Scripture teaches us that God is sovereign and has a purpose in everything, including suffering. While humans may not always understand why they suffer, the Bible reassures believers that God is in control and is working all things together for our good. And then preparation for greater glory. It says suffering is sometimes depicted as preparation for greater things. It can prepare believers for the responsibilities and blessings that God intends to give them, both in this life and in eternity. While pain and suffering are not glorified for their own sake in the Bible, they are often portrayed as instruments through which God brings about greater good, spiritual growth, and ultimately His glory. The biblical perspectives encourages believers to and trust that God has a purpose for their pain and that He will use it to bring about good both in their lives and in the world. So, with all that being said, it's pretty much telling us you're not going through that in vain. What you're going through is can be used for the glory of God and also to bring somebody to God. So when you go through something, we got to make sure we don't keep it to ourselves. Sometimes we're ashamed about what we've gone through, but God has given you that situation for you to use it as a tool to minister to somebody else. We don't often do that. We often keep it to ourselves. Only certain people know. And we haven't become comfortable with sharing our pain. So you say, well, is a tool to help somebody? Yes. You know how many people lost their mother and I've been able to walk them through that pain? Did I want to go through that? No. But that was a way for me to help bring people to God or remind them of God or how to walk them through that situation, whether it be business wise or just my experience going through that and how I got through it. I had somebody recently reached out to me who is online, appears to be very spiritually mature. However, this thing, you can't over spiritualize pain, because I don't care how many scriptures we read, you got to be able to have the strength and endurance to be able to even get through it. So I'm not saying the Bible can't help you through it. It's going to help your spirit man. But when your flesh is overriding the spirit man, you got to get some additional help, some professional help, different insight on how to manage that pain so it doesn't consume you. The fire should not consume you. It should refine us. It should make us better. When I think about when they make gold or form it into those things, they put it in, have it like on a stick sometimes, and they stick it in there, and it's just a burning. And what it does is burns off all that excess stuff that you didn't need, you've been carrying around. And it makes it pure and solid and strong. When you take it out of there, it seemed like the fire is up too hot, but it's perfect. And that fire is smoothing out everything, and it's burning off the stuff you don't need, the stuff you've been carrying, the stuff that has been attached to you, people, circumstances, mindsets, words that have been spoken over us. I guarantee you, when you go in that fire, whatever that situation is, the the reason it didn't consume the three Hebrew boys, going back to them, is that God didn't just put them in a fire alone. He got in there with them. They said it was three, but we saw four of them in there. So even though God is putting you through that, he's walking you through that situation. And oftentimes we forget that God is walking with us. He's not walking beside us. He's not walking behind us, I should say. He's walking with us. He's guiding us. He's leading us, but he's standing right there with you and saying, I got you. It's hot. It is hot. It's going. Life is lifing, but I'm here with you. And once we realize where God is in our lives, we'll have a different perspective about our purpose, our calling, our pain, our sufferings. It'll be different. And we'll say, when I'm going through something, it won't consume you. Your mindset will be, God is doing away with whatever this is. It's weakness leaving the body. Weakness leaving the body. And when we see it that way, our spiritual game is going to go all the way up. Our bounce back will be even faster. And I'm not saying that everything is going to be perfect. I'm going to tell you, you'll be able to handle situations better. You won't be in the bed for 10 days. You may cut it down to 5 or one day. And you say, what? You quote a scripture. Here's a few scriptures you can say. James chapter 1, verses 2-4 says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Romans 5:3-4 says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know the suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Hope. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6-7. In all of this, you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus is revealed. Isaiah 48:10 says, this third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. And our final one, Proverbs 17:3 says, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. So these are scriptures we can learn to say when we're going through these things. All you have to say is, what I'm going through is to give me hope and perseverance. It's for me to keep going. It's not, these things are not coming to destroy me. Sometimes we label these things as the devil when it's really God refining us. Surprise. So let's keep that in mind. The next time you go through some suffering or trials, just know that is God testing your faith. He will never tempt you, but he will test your faith. Think of Job. Job was tested like a mug, but he came out as pure gold, solid. Though he was shaken, things were taken away, but those trials and tribulations he went through defined his faith in God, but it refined him. So I hope that your pain that you've gone through has refined you and not defined you. I pray that God will give you that testimony where you will not be ashamed to share it. You'll be excited to share what God has done for you through your circumstances and your situations, through your pain, and that God will continue to get the glory, and that you will not go through whatever you're going through with the outlook of, woe is me, but the outlook of, God is preparing me, he's preserving me, he's pushing me forward, and God is with me. So I pray that this conversation we had today was a blessing, and that it helped you to relook at the way that we see pain and suffering as it pertains to us being Christians. And I want to encourage you all, if you will, to sow a seed, whatever you will do to help, like I spoke about earlier, with our building. If you've given already, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have not, I want to encourage you to give. Whatever you God places on your heart to give, I want to encourage you to do that. And just know that it won't be like this always. And pain is a temporary situation. It's not lifelong. If we make this pain lifelong, that's on us. It's not on God. So make sure that you go through that pain, but you come out of it. Don't allow it to consume you. Allow it to refine you, not to define you. And when you're going through anything, don't make any decisions. Don't lash out. Take time to yourself. Let God speak to you, minister to you, get you somebody you can talk to that can walk you through that season, and get yourself together and persevere, press through until your purpose, until your calling, and whatever else God has assigned for you in this season. So we're not letting our pain define us. We're allowing our pain to refine us. I love y'all. Have an amazing rest of your day. We are online for the rest of the month. So we're having our church picnic tomorrow, but we will have online service too. So I look forward to seeing everybody and worshiping with you online as well. So have an amazing rest of your Saturday. Be blessed. Be encouraged. Know that God is not just leading us, he's walking with us. And you are so amazing. And I hope this conversation today helped you. Have an amazing rest of your day. See y'all.